testosterone is produced when other people cheer for you. Go, yay, good job. Your team wins, your testosterone shoots up. You know, you make some money, your testosterone shoots up. People say to you, oh, you're right. A good dating skill, by the way, whenever it's true, a man will perk up, you know, and you say, what a good idea. He perks up because it bumps up his testosterone. And a woman could perk up a bit too, bump up her testosterone, but testosterone's not the major hormone for well-being for women. It's when a man makes a gesture of caring, consideration, understanding, empathy, respect, those values, when he behaves in a way that expresses those things or speaks in a way that expresses those sentiments, her estrogen goes up because she feels safe. She feels seen. She feels that I have support. I have backup. I could ask for help and get it. Not that you always need help, but there's the challenge for women today is, what do I need? I'm pretty good on my own because you've been on your testosterone side. And maybe you can take a moment to express how many women feel being single for a while.
I can remember one of my girlfriends and I having a conversation, and this was back when I was single in my 40s, and I had a good corporate career, and I was very self-sufficient and independent. And I thought I did have a pretty good life. And I can remember us having this conversation, this friend and I, and we said, boy, a man's going to have to be real, real good to have a place in my life because I already have a really, really, really good life. So I do think some of that hyper focus on finding the perfect man and some of that kind of came into play in my own life. And although I always felt like I was very feminine in my appearance and things like that, I know in some ways I showed up as the better man in the room in certain situations in dating until I came to understand more about some of the things that we're talking about. And so when I work with women now, and many of them have or do have successful careers and are very strong and independent and are operating more on the masculine side, it's easy for me to see and identify because I've lived that, I've experienced that, and I've also now learned through very long and winding road of dating and now having been married to my husband for 14 years, how to dance in that feminine and how to receive. And one thing I think that is missed by so many women, John, and I know you'll back me up on this because you've said this as well, is that I don't think we as women understand how meaningful it is for a man when we do receive. I call it graciously receiving, because we're gracious and we appreciate and we acknowledge and we let them know how meaningful that is to them and how good that feels to them. And I think you're right. I think we tend to get in the pattern of thinking, well, it feels so good when he gives to me, I want to give back. And so we have women giving too much, too fast, too soon.
Absolutely. And the challenge for women is, and I want to point this out, a little subtlety here, is if your estrogen levels are low, then a man doing things for you really doesn't make you feel that good. You have memories of when a man does something for you, it feels good, but then he actually does it. Estrogen allows you to appreciate his gestures and what he does provide for you. And what allows you to, so I have a real wonderful metaphor to understand that concept. And then that motivates a woman to recognize, what can I do to raise my estrogen levels? But in Men Are From Mars, I write about little things make a big difference. And men don't understand this. You know, man thinks bigger is better. And yeah, a few bigger is better is a good thing, but it doesn't produce a lot of estrogen. If you have normal estrogen levels and you're a woman, and I bring you 50 roses as a gift of my affection and love, you'll get a big surge of estrogen and you'll go from feeling happy to happier. And that's what romance does. So I can give you 50 roses, or I can give you one rose and it will have the same hormonal reaction. It's like, oh, the rose, how sweet. Okay, then that's very sweet of you. Maybe 50 creates a little extra bump for some, but bottom line, if you have plenty, if you're happy and your estrogen levels are at a happy level, a man does a little more, you get a big response, or he does a big more, you still get the little response. If you have low estrogen, he can give you 50 roses and it's or he can give you 1 rose and it's So what I teach men is you got to do lots of little things to build that estrogen up where she can really appreciate you. And what you were doing and what you beautifully expressed is taking responsibility as a woman to soften and to intentionally look at ways to express my appreciation. Because if you express appreciation, estrogen also increases. It's like there's a little game that we played. We did a little process in our relationship, and it's really, really helpful. And recently I found out one of my daughters just naturally did it with her partner for 10 years, because I was just mentioning I'm teaching this new exercise that I used to do with Bonnie. And it's where you say to your partner, first of all, you set it up. If you're a woman, you say to the man, and this is not a dating skill, but more of a relationship skill, but it's still, that concept applies. Do you love me? She says to him, and he always says, yes. And you say, how much do you love me? And he says, with all my heart. And she says, tell me why you love me. And it forces a man, you're playing a game. He has to get in touch with how to articulate his feelings. Because if you don't use language to articulate your feelings, they cannot increase. They cannot be felt. You can only feel from the prefrontal cortex what you feel in your emotional reactions, but you come from the prefrontal cortex. So, you feel I like someone. Why do you like me? And why else do you like me? Well, it's obvious, don't you know? Of course I know. Of course I know, but it's fun to hear. It's fun to hear. It feels good to hear. And it actually stimulates estrogen to hear. And that's why for women who are independent and you're dating, where you may not yet be at a point where you can say, why do you like me? And be playful about it. But you should certainly be at that place long before you have sex with somebody. Just want to point that out. Some people just like have a date together, talk, and then go off and have sex. Whoa, long before that, you should be able to articulate why I like you and maybe why I'm turned on to you and why I'm affectionate with you. And see, words is a way of connecting, and it's a way that takes us away from being animals. If a man has sex with you from the animal side of him alone, he'll not be interested in you later. And you will feel a sense of emptiness and depletion because you were not seen and heard, and there wasn't an affection and a genuine warmth. So what I'm saying there is these are fun games you can play, which is, well, why do you like me? But long before that is, why do you like doing this? Maybe it's something you like to do. This is where you're not pointing out differences in a dating experience, but where you're pointing out similarities, which is, why do you like this? And give me 5 reasons you like that, and be playful with it and say, well, and then you give 5 reasons. So it's a back and forth. So a couple can do you love me? Yes. How much do you love me? With all my heart. And why do you love me? And then I say something, and then I say to her, do you love me? And she says, yes. Why do you love me? Or how much do you love me? And why do you love me? And you can even feel kind of angry and defensive at your partner, but you do this exercise, it pulls out the love, because all of our negative reactions are just automatic, primitive, programmed reactions from our monkey state, where we don't have the capacity to experience a kind of unconditional love. I mean, we still have conditional love, which is, I have certain needs in a relationship to feel good. But when we get to the place of unconditional love, it means that you don't always have to be satisfying all my wishes, wants, and preferences for me to love you. There's something called compassion and empathy and desire to serve each other. But you can't go too far that way. If you're a woman, their tendency is to, when you're not getting enough, is to give more, with the thought that if I give more, he'll give more back. But It's the opposite. If you give more to a man to get more, you get less. And that's hard for women to get, because I'm a man, and if I give you more because I want to get more, you'll give me more. Women have a built-in sense of reciprocity, which is when someone gives to them, they immediately want to give back. And actually giving back creates more positive hormones in a certain circumstance than receiving. So there's an old saying, giving is better than receiving, but giving is only better than receiving if you also have received. Okay, so you have to feel like I can give, but I have to have something to give. If I give out of debt, it doesn't feel good to be in debt. And I've actually figured this out in terms of the hormones. Men's hormones are just primarily testosterone, which is we give to get. If I get, and what I want, I go to work, I want to get paid. If I give to my wife, I want to get paid by appreciation and responsiveness and happiness and joy. That's why we say, a man's greatest desire is for a woman to be happy. But then why don't men do the right things to make her happy? Because he doesn't know. It's always he doesn't know. And how's he going to know? Can you tell him? Not so easy, because it sounds like complaining. But you can learn how to train him. And that's what we're all about, is training him by asking him for his help and for his support. And for many women, we were talking before about women on their independent, strong side, their estrogen levels are so low, they don't even know why they need a man. Yeah. And they don't value what they need a man as being that important, because what you need from a man is more important as your estrogen levels continue to rise. So what does it look like you need from a man? You need a man, if you can make all of the money you want to make, well, you need companionship. You need friendly. You need to feel safe, that you can share whatever you think and feel. And some women don't know that that's what they need. You need to feel safe, that you can be naked intellectually with somebody. You can be naked emotionally with someone. Then you can be naked physically with someone and experience the potential of spiritual union, which is a beautiful, crazy state, which couples who have good communication get to experience. It's just like heavenly. And everybody gets a glimpse of it. If you've never had a glimpse of it, I'll just throw this in. Maybe it's politically incorrect, but it's becoming more legal in some states, which is psilocybin, the mushrooms. The more and more therapists are using psilocybin because it will give you a state of awe. And you realize that you really have been living in a non-love state. Now, some people experience that just going on vacation. Some people experience that by taking time to be in nature. Some women will experience that in a yoga class, because a yoga class, for example, they're doing nice stretches in the body, but you're around other women. That's a tribal feeling. And they're playing nice, soft music. Nobody's having an argument. Nobody's competing with anybody. You're just doing your thing. And there's a leader, someone you're depending upon to guide you. And it's all very feminine in that way. And this is very funny because, I started doing yoga at 3 years old. My dad taught me. And then I went off to India, become a master of yoga and all that. And the way we do it in India, way it was taught, where that yoga comes from, is for men. And you do it alone. You don't do it with other people. And you don't do it to beautiful music, You do it alone and in silence. But you see, now women are more on their male side. So there's certain aspects of yoga that supports the male side, which is challenging your muscles, holding poses and so forth. But you're doing it with other women. You're doing it with a leader guiding you. And that is, whenever you're following the leader, your estrogen levels get produced. Doesn't mean you follow the leader down the wrong path, but you find someone who can guide you. Dancing with a man, in old-fashioned traditional dancing. You see, it was invented because it's a place where women feel I can trust him to make all the right moves because we've taken the class together. Today, everybody's they're doing their own thing when they're dance. This is very testosterone producing. And there's a place for it, but then there's a place for having set steps where he knows what to do, where she can trust that he's going to swing her this way, he's going to twirl her this way, and she can go with his lead and flow with it. And that's basically allowing him to be your male side and you're on your female side, and you go into that balance. Same thing as making love. You're allowing a man to do it to you. You're not giving to him. You're responding to him, always responding. You don't have to give to a man. A man ultimately wants to feel successful in giving to you. And because you're receiving and because you're actually in love, as you receive, his own female side is being nourished and supported. So he can be both masculine and feminine at the same time. You, on the other hand, are being able to receive someone doing for you. So your own male side, you're appreciating him doing for you. You're actually appreciating your own male side. I mean, this is you're inviting it in. You're saying you're a part of me. You're embracing that part of you. So you don't have to go out to your male side to feel the joy of your power. See, that's the power. You can be in your feminine side and also feel power. And then you come out, you go over to your male side, you go over your female side. But we need this place where we can be our male and female side at once.